Thank you, everybody, for your patience. We're going to continue to let the room kind of fill up here, and then we'll get going. Good afternoon, everybody. The room is continuing to fill up. My name is Steve Japping with the Lansing Regional Chamber of Commerce, and it's great to have you here on this Friday afternoon. Thank you for being part of our webinar series. This is Stress and Immunity. When everything seems out of your control, what can you control? Featuring Chris Johnson, who's the founder, CEO, owner of On Target Living, and we're so great to I'm blessed to have Chris with us today to talk about how we do get through with this and cope with what's happening in our business at home and just how to deal with the stress throughout this. But before I let Chris and I know Matt is with him as well to kind of take over the entire screen here. Just some housekeeping is again if we are going to have an opportunity. Everybody's on mute right now, but we are going to have an opportunity, closer to the end here to do Q&A. So if you do have a question for Chris, you can ask that in the chat box to your right, and you can also raise your hand. And then also during this, and make sure at the top of your screen when you're looking at speaker view. There are going to be some opportunities where there's going to be some videos and some other type of things where you can change your screen settings to make sure that you can see and hear both Chris and then some of the videos that he's going to be using as well during this program. With that being said, again, we're going to be following up with the survey afterwards from Ashley Willis, and this will be on our on-demand webinar series on our website. And again, thank you so much for being with the Lansing Regional Chamber and Chris. Thank you again for being with us, and I'm going to go on mute and hide my video, and looking forward to this, man. Thank you.
Hey, welcome everybody. And I don't know what Steve's talking about, stress. What stress are we facing? So I'm here at our headquarters in Bath, Michigan. So we're just near Eagle Eye. This is my son and I are at our facility. Everybody else is basically working from home. But I want to start with this real quickly. So how many of you feel like you need a little bit of a micro break? So everybody stand up just for a second and take both arms overhead, clasp them together, squeeze your biceps next to your ear, and you're just going to stretch up as high as you can, just side to side, stretching out your back. I think we all need this. We've been on our electronics a little bit too much. I know I have been. All right, so that being said, here we go. So I kind of want to back up for a second. It's always fun to talk to people in this community. I'm born and raised in Lansing. Actually, I was born in Sparrow Hospital in 1957. I'll be 63 in the fall. And also I went to Luton School, Dwight Rich, Sexton High School, and I went to college at Western Michigan, and then I went back to grad school at Michigan State. But I'm born and raised in my entire life here in the Lansing area. So it's always nice to talk to our community, and I'm happy to do this today. Also, I want to back up real quickly. For those of you who do not know me, we have a company called On Target Living, and my daughter and my son are both in the business. Matt runs our company. He's one of our speakers. My daughter Kristen's one of our speakers, our dietitian. We have a team of 8. We have a very vibrant team that I'll give you my email at the end. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Happy to help you. But growing up, I was a horrendous eater growing up. So growing up, I had amazing parents, but like many of you in that era, raised by wolves, I didn't have a lot of guidance. I grew up on beefaroni, SpaghettiOs, bologna sandwiches, and I had bad skin for about 15 years of my life. I had digestive issues. I was allergic to pretty much everything. I had psoriasis, eczema. Doctors gave me oral meds, topical creams, nothing seemed to work. And then they kept coming back to my parents, your son just has sensitive skin. I didn't have sensitive skin. So when I started changing what I was eating, my skin got better. And that was kind of my driver into this profession. And this is a photo, if you have never seen this before, or those of you just listening, there's a photo of a Frito-Lay truck. I worked at Frito-Lay for 6.5 years when I was going to grad school. Been married to my wife, Paula, 37 years. My boy and girl twins are now 33, going to be 34 next month. And Paula and I have 4 grandkids. But I kind of want to back up and just kind of explain a little bit about the journey of on-target living and myself. But I want to talk about this today. How many of you feel like this? You feel completely overwhelmed. I did a podcast a few weeks back, and it was titled Hope. So if you haven't checked it out, it's 5 minutes. And I was out traveling, and all of a sudden this hit. And we're professional. We make our living by speaking professionally at conferences and trainings. And I lost 17 speaking events in 4 days. And when I came home, my wife said the first thing, what are we going to do? I said, I have no idea. Because that's what we do for a living. We travel, we speak. I've been doing this. I've had my company now since 2006. So we all got to think about it. We're all there. But again, I'm trying to reinvent the wheel. You know, what else can you do? Being a little resilient. We're tough here in Michigan in the Midwest. So we're going to get into that a little bit. But I think everybody feels. And now one of the things I want to address today is rhythm. You know, I think we've all got out of our rhythm. But I truly believe what I said in the Hope podcast is that we can develop a new rhythm. There could be really some cool things coming out of this. And I know it's going to help our business in the future. It's a really kick in the teeth for a while. But again, we've done over 60 webinars. We're doing this regularly. We're reaching out to customers. We're here to help. And I think you're all doing the same thing. Again, we're all in this together. But I want to start talking a little bit about this. Now, and every night on the news, we're hearing about defense. We're hearing about social, distancing. We got the mask. We got all that stuff. That's defense. That's great. But it's time to play offense. And this is your offense right here. This is a self-care pyramid. We all know right now with COVID-19, it's very contagious. But if we look at it a little differently, like how can the entire world, we cannot wait for a vaccination. The fastest vaccination ever has been within 4 years. We can't wait 4 years. We have the magic right here, and that's your immune system. But this is a self-care pyramid that if I take care of these basic things, it's amazing how it's going to boost the thing you can control, and that's your immune system. So again, it's how you breathe, how you sleep, how you drink water, eat what you eat. We'll talk about all this. This is it. At On-Target Living, what we really talked about over the years, people ask us all the time, what are you guys? We're a health and performance company. We help people be their best. And we do that. And again, Matt and I wrote this book called Capacity. And we started looking at organizations like yours that what the secret that everybody's overlooking is this. It's how we rest, how we eat, and how we move. This is foundational. But we kept getting that roadblock with many organizations like, hey, we're going to get to wellness. It's soft. No, it's foundational. And to look at it, what's going on in our world today. Our health moves sideways. We're a mess. So again, this is foundation. This is what I want to share with you today, not only for your businesses, but also for yourself, family, and everything else that goes with that. So these are the pillars. So I'm going to give you 2 mindsets today, just 2. So if you have something to write with, get a piece of paper out. I'm going to give you all my contact information. So again, at the very end, we'll do, as Steve mentioned, we'll do Q&A. But I also give you my email if you want to talk to me privately. So again, we're here to help you. And we're right here in your own backyard. So mindset number 1, we've got to talk about stress. How do you manage your stress? Well, the first thing I have to help people understand, and we're all there. I mean, I got to tell you, I don't know what's going to happen. We don't have another speaking event on the calendar. All of them been wiped off until the next one I have is October 28th. So I'm not even sure if that's going to happen. So mindset number 1 is understanding stress. And here's what I want you to get from this. Stress is physical. So if you're looking at that bear, it's called fight or flight. That's how the human body is designed. We fight, we flee. That's design. That's a good thing. That's fear. So fear is really, again, thinking about the future, like anxiety, all that stuff. We're fearful right now, and there's nothing wrong with that. But understanding stress is physical. So the problem with stress is not having that bear hit us once in a while. It's the bear hitting us constantly. And that's what's going on. Anytime you watch the nightly news, the bear is there every second. We got to take a little more offense here. So when you think of stress, it's physical. So what happens to the human body? Again, this should be taught in 3rd grade. Heart rate goes up. The fastest way to lower blood pressure, we'll talk about that in a minute. But this is what we're talking about right now. This is called your nervous system, the autonomic nervous system. And you can control it. If you don't control your stress, you cannot control your autonomic nervous system. You might have heard this before, sympathetic nervous system, parasympathetic. That's the autonomic nervous system branches. But I want to make this really easy. Stress is physical. And if we don't know how to deal with it, manage it, work with it, address the fear, address the emotions, that's great. But the biggest thing I want you to take away from this slide is when you're overstressed, you feel threatened in any shape or form, digestion shuts down. When you're running from that bear, your body's not worried about breaking down food. Everything locks up, so you have all this stuff going to everything you need to do to run from that bear. If your digestion shuts down, your immune system's compromised. We know right now the greatest thing we can do, take ownership, is we have to build our immune systems. And why am I talking about this? Because you cannot have a strong immune system, I can tell you what to eat and all that, if you don't control your stress. So stress is physical. Number 2, when you think about stress, these are the 2 pathways I just talked about. It's a little hard to see, but when people feel stressed, they go over to that sympathetic side, that's the bear response. Or sometimes many people go to the other side, that's called the possum response. I can't get out of bed. So understanding both sides are essential, but you need to create this equilibrium, this balance. And when the body gets out of balance, that's when we have problems. So keep this thought process in mind. Most of us, again, when we all stay in the moment, if I ask you right now, what does your right foot feel like right now? You're like, I have no clue. But if you focused on your right foot right now we become in the present. When we think about the future all the time, that's anxiety. We've all done this. I think about my business. And then in the past, sometimes that's depression. But the more we can stay in the moment, that creates the balance, and that's not easy to do. And here's the 2 mistakes people make when they think about stress. Number 1, we overestimate the threat. We overestimate the threat. And number 2, we underestimate our ability to handle stress. So that's the 2 things. So if you feel threatened, ask those 2 questions. Am I overestimating the threat? And number 2, do I have the resiliency to handle it? That's a cool word, in my opinion. We talk about capacity, resiliency, but you have the power. And that's where we're going to go right now. So when you think about how do you build up resiliency, your capacity, how do you cope with or manage stress? I don't like the word cope, manage it. How do you deal with it? It's how we breathe. Now, many people have heard this before called diaphragmatic breathing. The diaphragm is that muscle underneath the lungs. And when that diaphragm gets stronger, you have greater lung capacity. We know right now with COVID-19 attacks the lungs. So why isn't it on every nightly news, hey, everybody, spend at least 2 to 3 minutes a day strengthening your diaphragm. And how do you do that? You take your index finger, put it right in your navel, and as you take a deep breath in, the belly actually expands like a balloon. And when you exhale, the belly comes back. The air is coming out of the balloon. That now is like a bicep curl for your diaphragm. And as we age, the thing we lose the fastest as we age is called lung function. So you can see why people are having problems with COVID-19 when they're not strong, and they're aging and they're weak. They have a weak diaphragm. It's going to attack them. They don't have the capacity to deal with it. That's what happens when many people have pneumonia. As they get older, they just don't have a strong diaphragm. So all I want you to know is say, okay, one of the most powerful ways to help me relax my mind, lower my blood pressure, get all the digestive and things going, working the right way is diaphragmatic breathing. And that's the vagus nerve. So without getting super deep here, anytime you work that diaphragm, that muscle underneath the lungs, you relax the body. That's called the vagus nerve. Number 2, if my body's too stressed, I feel like I got that bear going. Some people they handle stress that comes right to their chest. Oh my gosh, I'm anxious. Or the other thing, it goes into the gut. They starting having a gut ache. That's called the Herring-Brewer reflex. Most people have never heard this before. These are these little tiny receptors in the lungs. So when I get stressed, they spew out all those hormones, those stress hormones. So what I'm pointing out here is that you have the complete control to change that autonomic nervous system. You have the control. This should be taught early on, but we're not. And again, it doesn't cost a dime. So the practice leaving this is this. You practice your diaphragmatic breathing for 30 seconds, multiple times a day. So if you can do it 2 or 3 times a day, it's a great start. Maybe do it before bed. Relaxes the body, relaxes the brain, powerful. No, and the last thing here is this. Sometimes think about this. Your nasal passages, what are they? They're the switchboard for the nervous system. Wow, that's really cool. So you mean to tell me if I close the right nostril, try this right now. I close my right nostril, breathe only through my left side, belly breathing, belly goes out. Exhale, the belly comes back in. Switch nostrils again. So now one's the right side's the sympathetic nervous system, the left side's the parasympathetic nervous system. So here's a cool thing. If you know anybody, your family members, you have kids at home or whatever, show them this. This is called breath awareness. That's the next level after diaphragmatic breathing. So again, a really powerful, easy thing to do, but it's a practice. Then we move into sleep. Now, when you think about sleep, here's what I want you to think about sleep. If you're not getting good sleep, you cannot have a strong immune system. I was listening to a podcast the other day, 75% of the United States population has sleep problems. Some are really bad, some are okay, and some are just marginal. But it's a big deal, fastest growing group of medications, sleep medications. So if we're not sleeping, you cannot have a good immune system. So number one, I got to start thinking about my sleep. So here's a couple things I want you to take away from sleep. Number one is this. What does your sleep hygiene, what's it look like before you go to bed? Are you really getting ready for you're going to a meeting, you're playing a sport, whatever you're doing, you're getting ready for that. Why don't we think the same way when we think of sleep? So if you're struggling with sleep out there, number one, are you paying attention to it? Is it important to you? And number two, what does it look like before you go to bed? Are you getting ready for it? And then the temperature in the room, 65 degrees or less. We're also a big fan of magnesium foods, taking an Epsom salt bath. These things keep you asleep. So make this sleep thing really simple. Start out as, are you getting ready? And number two, is your environment cold, dark, and quiet? And last but not least, magnesium. Magnesium is a mineral relaxation. Taking an Epsom salt bath a couple times a week. It's a great time to get this in your rhythm. So I'm a big fan of taking an Epsom salt bath, 2 cups of Epsom salts in a bath, soak in there for 10 minutes. It's great before sleep. It relaxes the body and it brings all that magnesium. And magnesium foods, dates, figs, raisins, greens, coconut, oatmeal. Magnesium foods are the mineral relaxation, blood pressure, headaches, heart, and keeps you asleep. The last thing I want to mention here under the nervous system is understanding space. Now, we have really talked about white space in our world for a long time at On Target Living. White space is personal time. There's never been a better time to expand our white space. Now in 1940, look at that white space, 5 hours. I lost my mom a couple years ago. And at the end of my mom's life, all she wanted to talk about is white space. Personal things, vacations, holidays. That's what we're all going to talk about at the end of our lives. But slowly over time, iPhone was invented. We're working more, we're sleeping less, screen time after work, white space is shrinking. And then today, everybody I hear talking, including myself, spending a lot more time in electronics. As Steve was talking about, we're sitting more. It's all that stuff. And look at this, 5 hours of screen time after work. Again, these lines are being blurred like never before, especially today. All I want you to do is walk out here today going, you know what? I need to protect my white space. And white space can come in all shapes and sizes. Playing board games, card games, walking in nature. Where we live in the Midwest, we should feel so thankful. Because I talk to so many people in New York, they don't even have room. It's, again, a problem here. We do have nature, we have parks, we have all sorts of cool things in Michigan. So these are white space activities, walking in nature, playing card games, all these things. That's the space I want you to walk away with. So quick summary. Number one, I'm going to start working on my diaphragmatic belly breathing. Also, I may even share this with others. I might do some of that nasal stuff. My sleep's not what I should. Tonight, open some windows. It's going to be cold here tonight. Put the temperature in the room, get it super cold. I don't want it to be cold in the bed. And then think about magnesium. Get more magnesium in your diet, maybe in an Epsom salt bath, and then create some space. And don't let, after this pandemic, do not let your space disappear. I hope everybody will come out of this actually expanding their white space. I know I am, because I've been traveling a lot in the last 5-10 years. I'm going to create more space in my world. And this is a quick summary. So again, this is on our website. I kind of summarized it already. The second mindset is this. How do you boost your immune system? Wow. I just wrote an article, top 10 ways to build or rejuvenate. I love the word rejuvenate your immune system. So the human body is constantly in change. Just remember that. Constantly in change. White blood cells, skin cells, everything constantly in change. So again, how do I boost my immune system? Number one, write this down. I have to make my pH more in balance. Without getting in the weeds here about pH, as you make your body more alkaline, you will have a better immune system. As the body becomes too acidic, it's impossible to have a good immune system. As the body gets too acid, the first thing the body does to protect itself, it starts leaching out these things called minerals. Calcium starts to disappear, magnesium disappears, iodine disappears. These minerals make the human body healthy. So if I'm trying to get people to boost or optimize or rejuvenate their immune system, I got to get them to have the mindset of being more alkaline. So if I'm drinking too much alcohol, too much soda, too much caffeine, too much processed foods, too much stress, that makes the human body acidic. And this is what I want you to write down. Acid equals inflammation. So if the body's too acidic, you're going to have too much inflammation. You cannot have this good immune system. The second piece I want you to understand is the source. Now, these are two principles we're teaching. We have a third one called the cell. We don't have time to talk about this today. But where does it come from? There's so much confusion when you think about eating and nutrition. Like, is this good, bad, or indifferent? My daughter, Kristen, says this best. We do not eat nutrients. We eat food. So if you're saying, hey, everybody's talking about vitamin C and zinc to boost my immune system. No, we're going to talk about eating foods that are high in zinc, foods that are high in vitamin C. Again, the body is not what you put in the body, it's what the body can actually break down. And that's what we mean by the source. So as you get closer to the source, you can't go wrong. So if somebody says, Dr. Gundry's talking about you can't eat nightshades or tomatoes or things like that, I'm like, okay, are we really eating too many tomatoes? We got to wake up and go, is there common sense here? So the closer you get to the source, you can't go wrong. It's that simple. So if you looked at this example of flax seeds are high in lignans, they're high in fiber, they're high in omega-3 fats. Look at the price tag, less than $2 a month. Take a couple tablespoons 3 or 4 times a week, fantastic for the human body. Then we break it down into flaxseed oil. We've lost the fiber, we've lost the lignans, and the price goes way up. And then we go to the gel tablet, and this is where people are making mistakes. Hey, Chris, should I take a probiotic? You can, but I'm going to show you in a minute. You don't have to. Should I take a multivitamin? You can, but you don't have to. How about a baby aspirin? Probably not. So the list goes on and on. It never ends. Again, get close to the source. So if you think about it, I got to make my pH more alkaline and get close to the source. Now we're in the process of learning how to optimize or rejuvenate that immune system. And it starts really simple. So write this down. Water. 95% of people coming in the emergency rooms in the United States today are dehydrated. 95%. So when you think about the human body, you cannot have an optimal rejuvenated immune system if you're dehydrated. So ideally, half your body weight in ounces per day. So I have clients come in, they're drinking 30 ounces a day. I'm not going to go to half their body weight. I might just go to 40. So the goal is wherever you are today, if you weigh 180 pounds, ideally 90 ounces of water a day. That's your target. And again, if you're not even close to it, but it's a great opportunity to try that. Number 2, if you add a lemon or lime to your water, it's very alkalizing by digestion. Everybody makes this mistake. In fact, a lemon is a symbiotic. It's a pre and a probiotic. So one of the best things that people have acid reflux, they have gout, they want to optimize their immune system, Dump a lemon in your water almost every day. So again, lemons, limes, ginger, these things are all fantastic for the gut. So whatever beverage you like, whether it's caffeine, I'm a big fan that people love caffeine, 2 cups minimum. That's it. You don't know more than that, minimum. That's maximum. 2 cups a day is really, we talk about alcohol, 4 to 5 alcoholic beverages a week. If you're consuming more than that, you're probably not going to have that immune system you're looking for. The second piece is, what are most people missing? I've been doing this my entire life. I'll turn 63 years old in the fall. Been doing this 35 years. I have so many people, I just cut right to the chase. Drink water. Now we need to add certain nutrients that you're missing. If you ask most people, tell me the omega-3 fat you're consuming. They're like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Or I'm taking a gel tablet I get at a big box store. That's not it. Omega-3 fats are brain health, heart health, anti-inflammatory, and hormones. Oh, and by the way, they're called essential fatty acids. Our food chain doesn't really have, unless you're eating wild Alaskan salmon every night, which I'm not, then you need to consume omega-3 fats. Number 2, cod liver oil. I'm going to just tell you what to do. You come right to our website. We get this from Dutch Harbor, Alaska. This is our cod liver oil. It's organic lemon, tastes awesome. But more than that, the livers are frozen on the boat. And what makes this high levels of D3 is that the livers are frozen on the boat. They're not stripped out. So this has naturally occurring high levels of vitamin D3, which we know now is essential for the immune system. And number 2, it's high in vitamin A and vitamin E, again, for the immune system. 1 to 2 tablespoons first thing in the morning, not a big deal. Also, flax seeds and chia seeds are other forms of omega-3 fats. All I'm asking, get some omega-3 fats in your diet, in your family's diet. It's a magical to keep the human body healthy. The other thing most people are missing is this thing called chlorophyll. What's chlorophyll? Chlorophyll is greens. It's very energizing. How many of you want to have better energy? It's very energizing. And number 2, it's very detoxifying. It allows the body to clean itself naturally. One of the highest sources of chlorophyll out there is called spirulina acrella. Again, I'm not trying to be a commercial here, but I'm telling people that we believe that we feel like we have some of the best superfoods on the planet because we spent basically the last 15 years researching what's the best. So spirulina acrella is a freshwater algae. You take 10 tablets a day. Start out slowly, let the body build up to it, and the adult dose ideally is 30 a day. Don't chew the tablets. You won't chew them again. They don't taste great. So again, super cleansing, detoxifying. Also, it's high in nucleic acid, and it's one of the best things for gut health, which again, optimizing or rejuvenating that immune system. And the last superfood is this, frozen wheatgrass. Comes in ice cube form, shipped right to your house. You start out with 3 to 5 cubes a day. You put them in a glass of water. This is, I believe, one of my top superfoods. But back up for a second, just real quickly. If I'm drinking more water, add a lemon or lime or maybe ginger. I'm adding omega-3 fat like the cod liver oil, vitamin D3. I don't have to take vitamin D3 now because it's in the food. It's the source. And then we move it into maybe spirulina acrella or possibly wheatgrass. You can see how this thing starts to roll. Now I'm building that immune system. I don't have to isolate nutrients. They're coming from food. And then from there, again, this is on our website. But when you think about, we have this form called a Gutbiotic Shark. So if you go to ontarliving.com or you want to shoot me an email at the end, I will send this to you. And it's basically a pre, pro, and symbiotic list of foods. So again, you could take a probiotic, but I don't really recommend it if you're going to eat a food. So what is a prebiotic? Imagine you're planting a garden here in Michigan, springtime. Getting that garden all ready to go, getting the soil all right, that's called a prebiotic. What are some prebiotic foods? Oh, I'm glad I asked. Oatmeal. Ancient grains are amazing for gut health. So when I'm hearing all these crazy diets that are not eating any grains anymore, root vegetables, I'm here to tell you, you cannot have a good gut health if you don't add some of these good carbohydrates, and that is oatmeal, teff, amaranth, buckwheat. There's a whole bunch of them out there. But this morning I had oatmeal, and it's something I do on a regular basis. Also high in B vitamins, so if your kids are driving you crazy, very calming. And then from there, bananas. So onions, garlic, these are all prebiotics. And then we go to probiotics. Now we're planting a healthy seed into the soil. One of the highest sources of a probiotic, and so easy, is this thing called sauerkraut. Sauerkraut and pickles, buy them in the refrigerated section at the grocery store. Make sure they're refrigerated. I take a tablespoon of sauerkraut at least once or twice a day. I have a salad I'll eat after this webinar. And again, I have that sauerkraut right on that, super high in a probiotic. Also, you have anything fermented, kombucha, kefir, yogurt, anything like this, that's a probiotic. And here's a symbiotic. What's a symbiotic? It's a little bit of pre and probiotics. Get everybody you know on the planet to do this. It's called eating an apple. You eat an apple, gut health, acid reflux goes away, gout, by eating an apple. I eat an apple almost, I would say on average, at least 5 times a week. Also a symbiotic is coconut. Coconut oil, real coconut, that's great for gut health. That's also a symbiotic. And then sweet potatoes, believe it or not, great for your brain health, make you happy, but also at the same time, it's a little bit of pre and probiotic on top of this thing called cacao nibs. I put cacao nibs in my smoothie. I also put it in my oatmeal. It's real chocolate. It's also high in magnesium. Make this simple, everybody. Start eating some of these healthy foods that make that gut healthy, which builds that immune system. That's our armor. And the last thing I'll mention here, from a food standpoint, is this thing called a food target. Now, for those of you who do not know, I designed this working at the Michigan Athletic Club in 1994. I was the fitness director, personal training director there. And everybody was on a diet. And I realized that's not how you want people to eat. You don't want to have them count macros or count calories. You want to have them upgrade. So this is carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. And here's my message. If you take a carbohydrate, protein, or fat out of the diet, you will have a macro problem. So all I want you to think about now is upgrading. Perfect opportunity. We're eating more at home. Slowly start upgrading. So what do I mean by that? Well, if your family likes Jif peanut butter, you get a better peanut butter. If they like crackers, chips, coffee make creamer in the creamer, so instead of having this creamer, you're getting a better creamer. The list goes on and on and on. And on our website, we have this thing called Brand Favorites. It's a shopping list that you could take to any grocery store in this community, and there's just better options. That's it. Better bread, better crackers, better chips, whatever you like, they're better options. That's the goal of this target. You slowly upgrade. And again, you're trying to create the balance of good carbs, good proteins, and fats. So here's what I want you to take away from this food aspect of it. You can boost your immune system. Remember, food is medicine. It's the most powerful medicine on the planet, but we don't think this way. And what you eat is what you are. That's interesting. What you eat is, of course, how do you think the body's making these cells? It has to come through the nutrients we consume. And it's not about being perfect. It's about slowly upgrading and just being a little bit better. All right, last little piece before I do a couple questions. I'm just going to touch real briefly on movement. The reason I had you move at the very beginning, because movement creates positive emotion. And I got to tell you, as an exercise physiologist, the greatest benefit of moving the human body is what it does for your mind. It calms your mind, creates energy, changes attitude. And sometimes people say to me, Chris, I'm not motivated to move my body. You're not going to have somebody just hit you in the head. What I tell people is if you move, that's going to create a lot of motivation. So here's the challenge I want you to take. Take the challenge of moving your body every day for 15 to 20 minutes. Not an hour and a half. I hear this all the time. I work out 3 days a week for an hour and a half. I'm going to tell you, if you worked out 15 to 20 minutes on a daily basis, you're going to develop this habit and you're going to get so much more results than doing the 3 days a week of an hour and a half. So again, move your body every day, stretching, whatever. So that's a simple thing I want you to think about doing as time goes on. And on the back of our handout, we have this thing called Dynamic Warm-Up Foundations. There's lots of stuff out there. There's lots of videos out there. Again, we're here to help you on some of the movement, but change the mindset about movement. It's fantastic for your immune system, but really right now what we need is we need that mental health. So again, as we build that healthy gut, we will build a healthier immune system. And remember, the nervous system and the immune system are married together. And that will lead to a positive mind. So again, it all works together. You're trying to have a better mind, just move your body. You're trying to have a better immune system, what we eat, control your stress. It all links together. And last but not least, you are the source and solution to your stress. Believe it or not, we're not taught this. Should be in every corporate environment. We work, most of our time is spent at work. We need to start helping people be better and feel better at work. It should not be a source of a stress. It should be more of could be uplifting. We teach this stuff. And last but not least, what you eat, you boost your immune system. So again, I'll wrap this up with how we rest, how we eat, and how we move. You have a lot more control than you think about this, but this is the foundation for performance. It's the foundation for your immune system. This is the future. We can talk about COVID-19 all we want, but we know now, we all know, if you're stronger, you're healthier, that virus is going to have a lot less impact on everybody you come to meet. All right, so if you need to get a hold of me, here's how you do it. My name, Chris Johnson, at ontargetliving.com. Got a question, reach out to me. I'll probably even have you pick up the phone. Hopefully, many of you will come out to visit. We're just south of Eagle Eye Golf Course, so we have this beautiful headquarters we're at today. We also have a brand new app, and our app has our 21-step video training. We have a podcast that comes out twice a month. Matt interviewed a guy yesterday, probably the top immune expert in the world. Dr. Bland, he interviewed him yesterday. So that's coming. This is going to be on our podcast. It comes out twice a month. So we're here to help you. All right, last slide. Then we're going to open up for Q&A. One of the things I've learned over the years is that how do you help people get success? And you do that by helping them learn how to build a habit. You have habits, I have habits. And as you change, and here's what we talk a lot about, going from 0 to 1, that's where all the magic is. When I get people just to start and they start taking one step, incrementally they start making small changes. The hard part is get people to start. That's it. Just get them to start. That's 0 to 1. Huge changes happen. So the longer I've been doing this, 20,000 training sessions over the years, thousands of seminars across the world, everybody's the same. Everybody's the same. Everybody wants to have better health. Sometimes they just don't understand it or how I can't get that. I'm here to tell you, just go 0 to 1, tell everybody about that, start slowly, do these incremental changes. And I'm fascinated by this thing called the Chinese bamboo story. Back in the day, I heard this story and I loved it. And the Chinese bamboo story is this. You plant the Chinese bamboo tree into the ground, you water it, you love it, you pay attention to it, and after year 1, nothing doesn't come out of the ground. Year 2, year 3, year 4, nothing. You're doing all these wonderful things, nothing's happening. And then all of a sudden in year 5, it comes out of the ground and grows 90 feet in 90 days. It was growing underneath there. It just popped out of the ground. And that's what I've seen in my profession. Cholesterol, blood pressure, can't sleep anymore, losing weight, whatever it might be. You start so slow and you slowly build these habits, and then the magic slowly starts incrementally changing. And I'll leave you with this. You have the power. So with that, we're going to open it up for a little Q&A. Anybody? I'm going to pull up my chair.
That was great, Chris. Thank you so much. We got 2 questions. I was going to say, I think it was 6 months ago. I know we had the chamber team. Maybe it was less than 6 months ago. Had the chamber team over at your shop, and that cod liver oil. I cannot tell the folks attending that has been every morning taking that has been great, as well as the wheatgrass, and I can never say it, the spirulina.
You got it.
Yeah, that whole, I mean, it's been fantastic, and I've really appreciated it.
Thank you.
That's my, little plug, but it works, man. It's been great. But so we have 2 questions right here. I'll start with this one. What are some great healthy habits to incorporate while working at home with children?
Well, I think the big thing, depending on, my son is right here. He's got 3, his son Ez is going to turn 4, but he's got 3 kids at home under the age of 4. It's just hard. And just number one, you just have to say to yourself, you might be out of your rhythm. It's going to be hard to get back into it. But I think for many people, if you have kids, especially as they get a little older, get them involved. Get them doing activities with you. Get them outside playing, being active with them, doing everything you possibly can do. Get them in the kitchen, teaching them how to do some basic things, making a smoothie or oatmeal on the run. But as the kids get more involved, I think that's really a powerful thing. My wife, Paula, she's Lebanese. Her mom was a Farhat, and she taught her kids at an early age how to cook. And it's a skill. So both Kristen and Matt are fantastic in the kitchen, and that's a skill. So I think it's a thing that I think perfect opportunity, and then playing with them. Playing board games. Let's put our electronics away. My wife and I talked about this the other night, that at least 2 or 3 nights a week, we're not turning on the TV, period. We're going to do different things. We're going to play board games. We like backgammon. She's learning slowly how to play ping pong. Just a little bit more of these things, especially when your kids are at home, and just start slowly with them. But the more you get your kids involved, then it's not so crazy. Like you just said with the cod liver oil, my grandkids, it's not a big deal to them because they've been kind of growing up on it. So if we indoctrinate these things slowly, again, you're not going from 0 to 100, you're going from 0 to 1. So if they're eating some white bread or Jif peanut butter, you just make these slow changes over time and they don't really notice it. And then next thing you know, it becomes more of their norm, more of their rhythm.
Great. So the next one, this one actually, I'm definitely going to be listening closely on this one because it impacts me as well. But with working from home and anxiety of COVID-19, what are ways to enhance the quality of rest?
Well, I think the other thing too is we got to quit looking at the news. I mean, if you think about it, sometimes we want to be informed, but at the other time, it really puts a lot of anxiety in people, of fear, whether you're looking at the stock market or whatever. And the only advice I have for people is you want to play more offense. What can you do? What can you control? When you think about stress, when people really get sideways is they feel like they don't have any control. And when I personally, for myself, if I have that self-talk, which we all do, what can I do? Well, number one, the fastest way to change my mind is how I breathe. So I'm going to teach people, everybody around me, to do nasal breathing and learning how to use the diaphragm. It's a skill though. I mean, I have a Zoom call right after this with probably one of the leading experts in the world. And this space is Dr. Phil Nuremberger. So on our website, we have a podcast called The Power of the Mind. It's gold. It's an interview with my son, Matt, and Dr. Phil Nuremberger. So if you want to learn more about that and the mind, but that probably is the number one way to help calm the body. And then you got to say to yourself, okay, let me look at my sleep. Are you rejuvenated when you get up in the morning? So it's a great opportunity to start building some of these practices of rest. And then what kind of space do I have? We all know when we look at our calendars, we don't have a whole lot scheduled. It's incredible how it's freeing. So maybe we need to do some micro breaks during our day, or maybe I look at my calendar. My calendar is too busy. I mean, I know more and more corporations. We've been doing lots of webinars for large corporations. And what we talk about is, you go from meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting. Wow, your brain is fried at the end of the day. So again, how many Zoom calls can we do in one day, right? And then when we get back to it, how many meetings? So we have to start looking at performance in a different way. I think that's what can come out of this. Like, if I want to feel my best, I need to really do a lot more self-care. If I'm not taking care of myself, I'm not sleeping, I can't have great energy. I can't have great focus. I can't stay motivated. Well, why is that? We all know when we get a good night's sleep and we had a nice meal, maybe moving your body, man, you can handle a lot. That's called resiliency. So that's what I get excited to help people is like, man, let's just build this so I can have that for greater performance and health and everything else that goes with that. So back to your question about rest, it's the foundational pillar. And if you're not getting good enough recovery, good enough rejuvenation, you're not going to be your best. And I think that's what everybody's striving for, is to be better, to be your best.
That's good. Please elaborate on where to start in order to improve gut health.
Well, I think coming out of this is, if you said, okay, what do I want to take out of this? I would say number one is you'd spend at least a couple of minutes a day working on your diaphragmatic belly breathing. And that's it. Make it no more harder. And if you want to add the nasal breathing, great, do that. Number two, what do we do the most of? What's the foundational pillar? What do we do the most of? We knew when Flint went sideways with the water, it affected everybody. It wasn't eat McDonald's or, Egg McMuffins or whatever. It was the water. So when you think about the water, if I'm not drinking enough water, I'm going to be dehydrated. The brain is made out of 50% water, 50% fat. You can see how this goes sideways. So that's when I'm working with people. I'm like, I'll have people come in here, they're training with us. They'll say, is that all you want me to do? Yeah. because the goal is I want you to build a habit. I want you to go from 0 to 1, not 0 to 50, 0 to 1. So if I can get you to breathe and drink water and you develop that habit, then the next time we're coming in, then maybe, just maybe, we're going to add that vitamin D3 and that cod liver oil. Now we're going to get that one down. Okay, got that down. And then from there, I want you to move your body for 10 to 15 minutes, on a daily basis. Can you imagine if I'm drinking water, taking omega-3 fat, working on my breathing and moving? Okay, now we're running. Now we're going. And that's where everybody misses the mark. Like, I'm going to do the Whole30 or the keto diet or intermittent fasting, or I'm going to do, Orange Theory. No, it's too much. And that's why the diet industry is a $70 billion industry with a 97% failure rate. Wow. Because we go from 0 to 100 and it never works. So as long as I've been doing this, that was me. I was a terrible eater. It was incremental changes over time. That's it. You can see I get a little revved up about this conversation, but it's good.
Since you grabbed the cod liver oil, there's 2 questions in here. So I'm going to say both of them. So do you have any suggestions of if the cod liver oil makes a person have reflux? And then the other one was about, is there a way to not burp on the cod liver oil? I don't think you can. I take it every day, but I'll let you answer that.
Yeah, so here's what I want to, again, I want to really tell you what to do and help you. But cod liver oil, when it comes from the source, it's not coming from a gel tablet. You're not going to regurgitate it unless you have a gallbladder problem. That's that simple. So as you get closer to the source, this is not a gel tablet. We don't even sell it in a gel tablet. It's organic lemon. It's not artificially flavored. It's not added vitamin D3. It is this. That's what it is. And so when you put whole source foods in the body, it's not what we put in. It's what the body can break down and absorb. I want to make this really clear. So when people are taking all this, I'm taking lipoic acid and vitamin C and vitamin D3 and calcium. No, you eat nutrients from foods. And when people do that, they're not going to get the reflux. I mean, if you have reflux, you have a problem with your digestion. If you have reflux and you're taking an acid blocker for that, you cannot have a good immune system. So this is what's going on in there. Matt and I were talking about this the other day. 30 million people in the United States, 30 million are on a immune system suppressant. That means 30 million of our country that is on this medication, they can't rejuvenate their immune system. And they're on a medication for it. So that's the sideways out there. So you will not regurgitate it or have this acid reflux if you're getting back closer to the source. Eat a lemon in your water, or put a lemon in your water. Eat an apple. Do some of this stuff. You will have great digestion, which now you're not so worried about gluten issues or some of the other stuff that's going out there today with the digestive problems we're facing. Fantastic question. And again, you've seen it. Come out and when you get a chance, just try it. Again, we also sell this at Foods for Living. We sell on our website. We're really proud of our cod liver oil because of the quality and the taste.
Yeah, the taste is great. It was fun doing those little shots, so it was good. Get a couple more questions here. What is a healthy thing to eat or drink in the morning for energy instead of coffee?
Well, it's interesting sometimes, where does energy come from? And so I'm a real question guy, being very curious. But it's interesting. Why do we think we can't get through our day without an energy drink or caffeine? And I'm not trying to beat anybody's coffee up, but it's a stimulant. So the number one way to boost your energy is through nutrients, food. So if you're dehydrated, you're probably not going to have good energy. So when I get up in the morning, I have the same ritual every day. I get up and I drink water. Maybe put a lemon in there. Today I have orange slices in there. I do my wheatgrass, do my cod liver oil, then I'm going to eat my oatmeal and so forth. I'm getting those nutrients that create energy. And what happens over time, we get so sideways that we're just so immune to, like, I don't have great energy because I'm not eating. That's where you get it from. And you also get energy from moving and sleeping. So when you start putting it all together, we shouldn't have to get through the day from some type of stimulant. And that's what we talk to a lot of when we do trainings with companies. Can you get through the day? Try this. And you might have to say, okay, I drink more than 2 cups of coffee a day. Well, if you're drinking 2 cups of coffee or more than 2 cups a day, then you're probably having problems with energy. So then we have to step back and say, okay, are you drinking enough water, consuming any, good fruits and vegetables and ancient grains and good proteins and healthy fats and getting enough sleep? So we just have to step back for a second and say, okay, what do I truly want? And then what step do I want to take? And that's how simple it begins. But the first step of any behavior changes we all know is self-awareness. If you don't have great energy, that's a great start. I would ask you right now on a 1 to 10 scale, on a consistent basis, where's your energy? In our capacity book, if you haven't read this book, we have my son did a great job putting this thing together on the energy. He has a whole energy section on how to rate your energy, how to improve it, the list goes on. But it really is a wake-up call for people. Because when people have great energy and they have great focus, that's the most powerful. Focus is the greatest skill you can teach, and energy is the greatest commodity. And when you put the two together, wow, we got a home run, and you got corporate America buzzing, which we're ready to go.
That's good. We have one more question here. As a business owner, what does your day look like?
Well, it's interesting what it looks like right now. As I mentioned to you, I think this is our 64th or 65th webinar. So I feel very blessed. But typically, I will be on a plane at least once a week, flying all over and speaking to conferences and training. And then we built our new headquarters here in Lansing, or East Lansing. And we're bringing more people coming in to train with us. So as I've gotten older, I'm like, I don't want to fly anymore. I mean, I'm a 2 million miler on Delta. I don't want to do this anymore. I like doing my events, but I really rather, and in Michigan, we need it. So that's really what our day is. I try to develop new content on a weekly basis. So you'll see our podcasts and our blogs and lots of videos for our app. And then lots of communication with people reaching out, have questions and so forth. And then live trainings, which we're kind of what we're doing now, or, in person. So that's kind of what my week looks like. And then we have a fantastic team of my daughter, my son, Tab Jackson, Dawn Miller, Stephen Glenn, Mark Pulowski, my wife, Paula. So we have 8 of us on our team, and everybody's got their little roles, but a lot of us cross over, as you know, as a business owner. I'm going to be washing dishes in a little bit. I'm going to take out the trash. So we're the only ones here. So it's obviously a little different for everybody, but I think we all try to morph, and I think we've morphed a lot in the last, 8 weeks. And this has turned into a really thing for us in the future that we could help companies that it's easy to do these Zooms or WebEx or whatever, and get some of this information. So I think for our business, we're going to be doing a lot more of this kind of training on top of, doing some video training on top of it. But we're on a mission. We're on a mission to help people feel their best and be their best. And as going to be 63 years old, I'm more passionate about this today than I've ever been. And as this pandemic's hit us all, we realize the importance of our health, and it's our greatest asset.
That's a great way to close, man. I want to thank you, Chris, and I know Matt's behind the screen there.
Thank goodness.
I want to thank you both. Thank you for your time, and thank you everybody for joining the Lansing Regional Chamber, our webinar series. This will be on demand on our website, and as well as we'll be sending that out in our communications to members. But again, Chris, Matt, thank you for what you guys are doing at On Target Living. It's really appreciative. So
Thanks for the opportunity, and good luck, everybody. Stay well.
Thank you.